Valley Chamber of Commerce. Michael, who is the president, as you know, he's having a baby, and he and his wife are at the doctors for more, you all know this better than I do, more elaborate checkup. Everything's fine, but so he designated me as the president and CEO to come and be a very special guest. And energy is a very important program to the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. As you can see from one of this manner, the Chamber actually did back have a clean energy program, which helped body companies serve about $30 million estimated because of the programs that we were implementing. And it received from the United States Environmental Protection Agency the water miracle, the water and all of us. We understand and recognize the importance of energy, and board members like the bodies of National Grid, we're reminded of that on a regular basis. So we want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to our event sponsors, National Grid and the bodies, and also Schneider Electric. Schneider has been a tremendous friend to the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. We learned so much. We get invited periodically to presentations they have, and we learned so much about what's happening. And where I first learned about battery storage, where I first learned about the carport idea, simple things that are very, very complex things. They don't understand the secrets, obviously. But we learn things that we think are going to make a consumer business. We have a very, very special guest that I think is very, very important to all of us. I also want to recognize Mr. Gordon, who you may have seen fly around outside of the tractor builders. We've been working with him on the development of a solar-powered boat. You can believe that. And Michael and I actually were on the boat about 2 weeks ago. It floats and it moves. But it's an idea that's coming. It's something I never thought of. He actually built the solar-powered car, which is on its way to the Industry Center. And he'll tell you more about it. He'll be available afterwards if you want to talk to him about the tractors out there showing this boat that actually works. We have some great speakers. I think this is a very, very important program to us because, as you know, the cost of energy continues to rise, and obviously we need to continue to operate both businesses and homes. So I want to recognize our very, very special guest speaker, Dr. Emily Reichert. She's the CEO of the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. She's our keynote speaker, and then after she speaks, we'll have some great presentations from several other speakers that will be able to tell you more about what's happening in the world about energy. And also at the very end of their presentation, we'll have questions and answers. Now, I didn't know I had to do this, but they tell me I have to do this. The bathrooms are located that way and that way. I would rather tell you that the coffee and the pastry is located that way. So please thank you for coming. This is one of 115 programs in the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. Coming up on Monday is our annual dinner. That is almost sold out. If you're interested in attending, please register today because it's almost sold out. Lieutenant Governor's a keynote speaker. Last year we had the governor, Lieutenant Governor. Coming up on November 6th is the Chamber's annual Veterans Program. We do a Veterans Recognition Program. We have the general that's in charge of the Massachusetts National Capital coming as a keynote speaker. And if you're a veteran, you come absolutely free. We have coming up, several networking breakfast programs and mixers in the evening, as well as the holiday party, which is in December, which is coming up. That'll sell out absolutely past experience every year. You're interested in that, let us know. But we'll begin the year in January. We're already planning that January program for years and the region, as well as our whole series of programs. So thank you for coming today. Please welcome our guest, Massachusetts Clean Energy Center CEO, Dr. Emily Reichert. This is the people.
Okay, so go. Good. Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you for the introduction, Joe. It's been a pleasure to speak with you a little bit this morning and hear more about the work of the Chamber. It's like a lot of good work related to energy. So, perfect topic to start our day with. So, my name is Emily Reichert, and I'm the CEO of the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, otherwise known as MassCEC. And it's a pleasure to be here in Andover. Thank you to Schneider Electric for hosting us today. And I'd like to be in the Merrimack Valley. And before I say few words about MassCEC and our work and how it relates to the work that all of you do, I want to do a big thank you to Joe and his entire team at Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce for the invitation to speak with you all today. I'm here today to discuss how the solutions that we need to address climate change are a massive economic development opportunity for every community in Massachusetts, including those in the Merrimack Valley. How many of you, just by maybe a show of hands, are familiar with the work that MassCEC does? So quite a few. That's great. Well, hopefully you'll learn something new today about one of the programs that we're running or how you can get involved. But I'll say just from the outset, MassCEC, as a state agency, is around, and our purpose is to support each and every business, each and every resident in Massachusetts with their clean energy transition. So we are here. If you hear anything in my presentation today you want to learn more about, then I can connect you to the right folks at MassCEC, who are the true experts. I just get to talk about their work. So MassCEC is the state's clean energy and climate tech economic development agency. And I would say our work really spans 4 different areas of climate impact, a few of which I'll be diving into a bit more today. First, we help climate-focused businesses, often startup companies, grow faster by backing a vibrant community of researchers, entrepreneurs, and working with established industry players like Schneider Electric, where we are today. We contribute to our clean energy transition by tackling barriers to widespread use of clean energy in buildings, transportation, and grid. And often that's through pilot studies where we're trying to understand the best way to decarbonize a building or to figure out how it is that we can get more folks to use EVs if, for example, they don't have a garage at their disposal. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So we do deployments at a small scale often that lead to programs at a larger scale that can be deployed across the state. We also do work in offshore wind, and we operate the Marine Commerce Terminal in New Bedford, on which Massachusetts' first offshore wind project is being marketed. So obviously a lot going on in the media about offshore wind, but what I can tell you is the project that we have deployed called Wind 1, almost deployed, is already putting electrons into our grid and nearly complete. So that's part of the story. I want to make sure you carry it with you. It's not moving and new. Some things have been delayed for sure, but we're going to continue moving forward, and the governor and lieutenant governor are committed. We also do a lot of work to grow our clean energy workforce, and we work with community-based organizations, unions, training providers of all types, schools, and employers, and in bringing that entire ecosystem together in order to do the best we can to not only train folks, but get them jobs as they leave the training. I would say that perhaps maybe not well known that clean energy and climate tech are no longer a small part of the Massachusetts economy. In fact, Massachusetts numbers right off the press, not even public yet, I would say. I might get in trouble for this, sorry, Matt. But Massachusetts is home to over 160,000 clean energy and climate tech workers, and over 10,000 businesses are working in this sector. So, just for context, that's about 1 in 20 workers in Massachusetts work in the energy sector. So it's a big part of our economy already. Well, our team at MassCEC helps these businesses and workers thrive. We also help other industries in the Commonwealth take advantage of the economic benefits of clean energy. So what do I mean by that? When it comes to businesses, many of you here, homeowners, communities, embrace of clean energy. A big part of our focus is on buildings and transportation, which frankly makes up the lion's share of our state's carbon emissions. So it makes sense for us to focus there first. For example, our clean transportation team at MassCEC runs grants and technical assistance programs for businesses, nonprofits, and municipalities electrify their fleet. Our Mass Fleet Advisor program, which you can find on our website at masscec.com, provides free electrification guidance for small business. And our team in this program works with business owners to understand their infrastructure needs and produces a personalized electrification report for that business as well as procurement assistance. So we want to make it as easy as possible to electrify fleets, whether you're a local tourist or the owner of a moving company. Our fleet advisor service is available to help you through the process of switching to electric trucks. And Mass Fleet Advisor is actually just one of our clean transportation programs. We also run programs dedicated to deploying electric school buses across the Commonwealth. We have a last mile focused program on e-bikes. And we have programs on EV charging infrastructure and how to make that more available. And EV consumer education is at our website called Clean Energy Lives Here that I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. You may know that there are more EVs on the road in Massachusetts than ever before. And I think consumers are generally realizing that electric vehicles are easier and more fun to drive and less cost to maintain. However, limited access to charging infrastructure continues to be a challenge for those considering transitioning to electric vehicles. That's why we're working with municipalities across the state to expand charging station access, and especially focusing on those that don't have access to a driveway for charging at home. For example, if you live in an apartment complex or you just don't happen to have a driveway, like I do in Arlington. In Merrimack Valley, we're actually partnering with the city of Florence and also partnering with 35 cities and towns across the state to explore on-street on-street charging solutions. And that would include curbside, pole-mounted, and street-light charging stations. So again, MassCEC tries to identify what are the barriers to mass deployment of a particular clean energy technology. We try a number of things, see what works, and then that can be deployed on a larger scale. Our on-street charging program is just one way we're trying to make electrification easier for municipalities and consumers. And as I mentioned, another key focus area for MassCEC and the entire Municipal Administration is on the performance of our buildings. Obviously, here in Massachusetts, we have some newer buildings, but a lot of older buildings that could be upgraded and electrified. However, the challenge of doing that is not unknown to MassCEC, and so we work with homes, schools, hospitals, and commercial buildings to make more energy efficient, healthier, and more affordable buildings. We have a variety of programs that we work with all of those constituents to do so. Most recently, just a few months ago, we awarded $50 million to 18 public schools across Massachusetts as part of our Green School Works program. That's going to run again this year. And schools are using these funds to implement clean energy upgrades from heat pumps to support for electrical upgrades that enable electrification to solar panels. One example in this region is Lowell Public Schools using $5 million to install air source heat pumps and complete weatherization work at the recently purchased Janine Art School, which will serve students with autism in grades 3K through 12. Another MassCEC buildings program works with commercial and multifamily building owners to create detailed electrical including support for financing options. And this is typically looking at what is the pathway to electrification for a particular home or business owner. And on that pathway, there may be choices. And we try to think through what makes sense for that particular homeowner or business owner. And it may make sense to do one project over several, or a project a year for several years, or do multiple projects in 1 year. We try to help you think through all of that. And so that program is called Beta. It's our accelerator for building electrification. So you can find that on our website as well. And finally, I'll mention one other program that spans both transportation and buildings electrification. And that's our website called cleanenergyliveshere.com. Clean Energy Lives Here is the state's online hub for clean energy resources, and it's run by MassCEC. This website features a wealth of information for homeowners, renters, drivers, and small business owners. Kind of a place where you can think of it as a front door to learn more about electrification, what are the latest trends and technologies, perhaps more importantly to many of us, how do you do this in an affordable way and actually lower the cost of your electric bills on a monthly basis. You can also find incentives all in one place and understand how those particularly apply to you and your business or your home. So it's a great resource. It's updated very regularly. We have a team that does this. And I'll say one more time, just to make sure that everyone has this. It's cleanenergyliveshere.com. And I'll say, lastly, with winter just around the corner, I'd like to address our grid and the rising cost of energy. As you can imagine, in Massachusetts and New England, we have an aging grid, and we also have a growing demand for energy. And we need to modernize our grid. We need to make it more efficient, we need to make it more reliable, and we need to make it more secure. And I'm happy to say that Governor Healy is trying to tackle this problem head on. She has proposed a major energy affordability and innovation bill that addresses what is driving up costs. And the Healy-Driscoll administration is also focused on another aspect of this, which is increasing our energy supply, especially solar. Solar is the fastest deployed, cheapest energy there is today. Thousands of residents already rely on solar energy to power their homes and their businesses, as we were just speaking about. In fact, I believe Merrimack Valley Chamber won an award for that, exactly, as you mentioned. On days when electricity demand is high in Massachusetts, solar has literally saved the day with regard to preventing blackouts in the region and saving money because we don't have to run those more expensive peaker plants that would otherwise come online when energy use is high. Tackling the issues with our aging grid, putting resources into clean energy to help us build an energy future that is both dependable and cost-effective. But, as I've been saying throughout my remarks this morning, we in government know that we need to make it as easy as possible for residents, business owners, and municipalities to adopt clean energy. Whether you're a local economic development official, a nonprofit leader, or a business owner, I encourage you, as I did at the beginning, to reach out to MassCEC. These are not always straightforward changes to make. We have online resources, but we also have resources in-house who can be your expert resource. I'm proud to say that our state continues to lead on this issue, as well as many others. And we all know that recent actions by the federal administration have, frankly, threatened progress towards a more affordable, independent energy system. Despite these challenges, I personally remain optimistic about the future of clean energy. And the reason for that is because we operate, and markets operate, as folks here at Schneider Electric will tell you, on a global playing field. And other countries are moving forward. And so, when we look at where the future is going, this industry is maturing. And frankly, clean energy is unstoppable. It's happening. For Massachusetts, it's about economic competitiveness and energy security, as well as about climate change and reducing our emissions. I mentioned at the outset, clean energy and climate tech has created over 160,000 jobs and makes up 10,000 businesses in Massachusetts. That is a number of individuals who are depending on livelihoods from this sector, and that is not going away. We are here to stay. So I'd say clean energy and our economy here in Massachusetts are deeply intertwined and will continue to be. But there are more homes and cars to electrify. There is more infrastructure that needs upgrading. That means we need to train more workers into good jobs, and MassCEC is actively involved in doing that. And of course, it means that we need more support from business professionals like all of you in this room. We've made tremendous progress over the last few years. We know this is a challenging time, but we, Athens, based in Massachusetts, are committed to a clean energy future that's more affordable and healthier, both for our current generation and future generations. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. I guess I mentioned we'll have an opportunity for questions after the presentation of the speakers. Joe Petro, the owner of Revise, could not be here this morning, was feeling well with Brian Schaap, who is the CEO of Revise. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Brian Schaap. I'm the CEO of Revise, stepping in for Joe today. First of all, I want to say thank you. I appreciate the warm introduction. And Joe and the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, they are great partners, great friends, know a lot of work for them, and continue to support. We appreciate what you do. So what is Revise? We do that a lot. We are the second largest home performance contractor in the state of Massachusetts. And so what does that mean? We have auditors that audit homes and take a look. We work with companies like CEC, National Grid, Eversource, or MassCEC partners. We do audits on homes and we take a look. And the first thing we like to do is, if you don't have proper insulation, that's step number one. It's the cheapest, it's the easiest. And if it's cold outside, what's the first thing you want to do? You put a coat on, right? So we want to put a coat on your home. We want to keep all that energy that we're going to spend to heat it or cool it inside. So we go in, we take a look, and that's the first thing we do. After we do that, we look at other options. We use oil. That's not the most efficient source, and it's also not clean energy. As we want to support what Massachusetts and the United States, and really the world wants to do, we need to move from oil to cleaner sources of power. So we work at taking oil burners out and putting heat pumps in, which are more efficient and better for the environment. So we support that as well. Once that's complete, then we take a look at what else your home can do. We work with other partners. We do things like fix roofs, change out windows. Once again, we use so much energy and power to your windows and stuff. We also do things to make your home safer. Make sure you don't have too much CO2 inside. Make sure you don't have a leak and other things like that. So tons of partners. And the last step is, we have several partners that we work with to put solar. Because that's the last step. Once you've got the heat pumps in, now it's great to produce your own power, and now you're essentially, your own self-contained unit. Well, I'll tell you that's probably never 100% true, because in January, February, you get snow on the panels and you still need to do it. So it's good to have all these options out there. As I said, we're huge MassCEC partners. We work with Eversource, National Grid. We work with market rate customers every day to help do these. We also work with the low-income side of things as well. There's plenty of communities out there, there's a ton of projects out there that help reach out to homes that otherwise wouldn't come to companies like us. And so when you come in, you need help with fuel systems and other things. one of the items they have us take a look at is say, what can we do to help reduce your energy costs by reducing usage? So we go with National Grid member stores to different events throughout the state, also southern New Hampshire, southern Maine, to go into some and take a look. And so we do everything as a community to help reduce energy consumption throughout. That's just a little bit about what we do. I don't want to take up too much time. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Joe.
And I just want you to know that the Chamber owns this building, and it's a 100-year-old building, and through the efforts of Revise and others, we've improved all new energy efficient lighting, heat pump system for our air conditioning, and let me tell you about it. First of all, I can operate. I understand the control panel, but it's quieter and more efficient. And again, we want to be role models for all of you because we've done it and we take advantage of the rebate program, which is something that is important because obviously it's expensive to put in, but you have the ability to attract the rebate. And so we encourage you to make those improvements and work closely with our department of National Grid as well. Speaking of National Grid, Lisa, are you going to speak from there or up here? Who's better for you? Wherever you're from. Please welcome Lisa McGarrett. She's from National Grid. She is the lead community engagement advanced meter infrastructure AMI project person. Did I get it right? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to the Chamber for inviting National Grid to speak about our advanced metering project. Coming soon, I guess, to the Merrimack Valley area is the start of the advanced metering project for National Grid. We started in other parts of the state here, and as we move our deployment to parts of the state, this is our next area we'll be going to. So what is AMI, advanced metering infrastructure? So it's not just smart meters. Advanced metering infrastructure is the combination of smart meters, our back-end communication system network, which we refer to as our field area network, built out by National Grid, as well as the back-end systems, which include our billing, operational controls, and that two-way communication between those. So it's a two-way communication between National Grid and the customer. Right now, we know that a customer has a meter. We use that data for billing, but we don't know anything else about the meter. When the customer uses energy, how they're using it, what time of day they're using it, and so that gives us insight into all of that. So new technologies, a lot of increased customer benefits through this meter. Customers have a lot of insight into their usage, when they're using it, again. And then for us, National Grid gives us that operational insights into, being able to be more efficient with our grid and offer customers better pricing in the future. AMI, I'm not going to go on this for long, but AMI is not new for National Grid. National Grid was part of the Worcester Smart Energy Solutions pilot program. We were mandated as part of the greenhouse energy bill of, I think it was 2013, to have a pilot using smart meters. So National Grid, Unitil, and Eversource all held a pilot. We had 15,000 or so AMI meters installed in residential and small commercial homes in Worcester. Customers were offered a time of use plan. Either they were incentivized for reducing load at peak times, or they were penalized for not. The customers had access to this real-time data. They had in-home energy management tools such as smart thermostats, heat pump, water heater controls, whatever it may be. It offered customers choice, control, convenience, as we said. So choice, whether they wanted to participate, control. We controlled their in-home appliances, but they had always had the choice to override that, and the convenience. So if an event was called during a time that was not convenient for them, they would take it off out of it. We did have a 98% retention rate over the 4 years that we offered it. Customers had good bill savings, energy demand savings, and we called 501 hours over 4 years, which consisted of 73 days of events. So AMI's back, and so why now? So AMI was approved by the state of Massachusetts, and National Grid and Eversource and Unitil are now deploying programs of meters across the state. The National Grid has started in this
central part of the state and the southeastern part. Eversource is starting west, so we're kind of covering that area of all of our territories and coming together kind of in the middle of the state. First and foremost is an asset replacement program. We have 1.4 million meters that are nearing end of life. We have the AMR meters in place now. A van drives by, sends a signal from the meter collects it. So massive undertaking to replace 1.4 million meters. I might add that this is a 3-year program. So 25, 26, 27. There's evolving customer expectations. They want this data. A lot of customers want to know when they're using data and how they're using it. And so both customers and the regulators expect this customer-focused experience where customers can be able to have this data. It helps us with the clean energy policies as well. So National Grid is the first utility to use the Revello meter, the latest in your Revello meter. It has great, like I say to folks when I'm customers on time, the meter's a meter. It looks like the same meter. But inside of it, it has great features, usage data. There's energy insights that can go to customers. We have a built-in module in the app that will do appliance level monitoring that will be rolled out in the future. And then it allows you to integrate smart appliances into your home. Our strategic objectives at National Grid require us to build new capabilities for customers. Enabling the energy transition for all, so more sophisticated rates, the deployment of DERs, distributed energy resources, lowering consumption at peak rates, and managing bills. We also want to deliver efficiently to our customers so we can personalize their experience and based on what their usage is showing us. This also allows us to enhance our network planning, so we're better building and having adequate supply in areas with our peak demands. And again, empowering people, so more specific, quicker data for customers, and new opportunities for customers once we have that real-time data for future rate structures. AMI, as we say, will make us smarter, stronger, and cleaner, as Dr. Reichert said. Data insights for customers, again, you can see the little graph there. Customers have the ability to go onto their National Grid My Account portal and see their usage data every 15 minutes. It will refresh every 15 minutes. And you say, yeah, big deal. But, and like the stock market, we don't watch it every 15 minutes. But this information is really valuable. Right now, we read a customer's meter on October 1st, we read it on November 1st, they get a bill, they say, so we don't say, that's what they say. I don't care who your electric service provider is, you say, I didn't use that energy. How could I have used all that? We don't know what day you used it. You used it over 7 days or 30 days. We don't know how much you used at your peak, at your lowest. We don't know appliance-wise what you were doing. Now we have insight into that. So when that customer calls and says, I didn't use this much energy, we can show a day, week, a month. When you look at that month and you see that spike over these days, you can say to the customer, well, it looks like a lot of your energy was used on October 12th, 13th, and 14th. Is there anything that was going on in those days? Well, I had company. My kids came home for the holiday weekend and did all the laundry. Plus, they had friends over and they were watching TV and doing their gaming. I had the oven going constantly, so I could cook for friends and family. Wanted to send kids back with meals. And you kind of have that aha moment of, wow, that really contributed to what I used. But it gives customers the ability to really self-aware of what they're using. Rolled out in the future will be appliance level monitoring. So not only will you be able to integrate some of your smart appliances, the meter learns what appliances are using what. So it gives you insight into less efficient appliances that your washer's used 50% of the time, your heater's used this many times. So great information for customers. This will help us become stronger, so grid modernization. So we have real-time alerts and alarms built into the meter. So things such as outage detection. So the meter gives the last gasp, as we call it, when it's out of power. It tries to communicate, says I'm out. Right now, you need to call National Grid and say, hey, I'm at my Main Street, I'm out of power. And someone else calls at 6 Main Street, they're out of power. So we know it's on the even side of the street, the off side of the street. But we don't know if it goes down to 50 or if it stops at 6 until our operation crews get out there and drive it. Now, those meters, talk communications network, it narrows down. They know the outage is here. So hopefully faster outage detection, obviously depending on the issue, hopefully faster restoration. It also allows us the ability to measure voltage and make sure that the power quality of the electricity coming in is where it's supposed to be. And then finally, cleaner. So enabling net zero. This information will only help National Grid and our customers become more efficient. More efficient on when you use energy, how you use energy. Hopefully get you to save energy. That's the goal there, which will then obviously lower your bill. We're really hoping that customers take advantage of this data and really use it to the best of their ability. For some customers, it's going to be a meter. We took a meter out, we put a new meter in. For some customers, it opens up a world of opportunity. My Vice President, Dan Tripp, is using the appliance level monitoring at home as a test pilot, and he said, I know on Wednesdays is my highest energy day because my kids are home early, my babysitter is there early. She has offered to do laundry for us on Wednesdays and cleaning, and so all of those things are adding up, and I know on Wednesdays now, at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, my energy usage is the highest of any time. So it's good insight. So some functionality. National Grid obviously has a lot of benefits here. Customers have more benefits. Right now, like I mentioned, over-the-air meter reading investigation. So if a customer has a problem with the meter or they're questioning a read, we can do an over-air read rather than sending a truck out. Again, more detailed information for our customers. So every 15 minutes allows them to better manage their electricity usage, hopefully leading to managing their bills better. The granular outage data to that endpoint level that I talked about, it gives us an online or offline status of the meters and a timestamp of when the last communication was. So again, during power outages, this is really, really helpful for National Grid. Once we start to build this network across the state, we'll be able to communicate and use this for outage detection everywhere. So potentially restoring faster, which is what customers want. It has the ability to connect and disconnect remotely. So if you're a customer and you call National Grid and say, I'm going to move in on November 1st, and November 1st is a Saturday, and they have to send a truck to turn in power, or maybe you have to do it on Friday, or you have to wait till Monday, now that command can be sent remotely to turn on that meter. So huge savings there. The potential for future time and use rates. So this is super important for customers and for managing our peak load. So we found in our pilot that customers were reacting to a signal saying, your price is going to increase if you use more energy. And so we had those demand savings. We had 31% demand savings during our peak events. We had customers save like $350 in their bills. So not a one-size-fits-all, not for all customers, but if you're a customer that has that, I have that peak in the morning, I'm gone all day, I have a peak at night, and then I go to bed. The time of use rate can fit your load profile and give you an incentive to do your things off hours. Again, the last gap step that the meter gives to let us know that it's no longer communicating, and that helps us with the outage detection. Smart meters have the sensors, like I said, gives us all these alerts to any abnormality in the meter. So an overheat alarm, the last outage alarm, the last gas alarm. We had an instance in New York in our service area there where a customer had 2 EVs plugged into their regular home service. National Grid received an alert that the meter was at a temperature that was not acceptable. They sent a meter tech to the customer's home. Pulled the meter, and it was redder than red. Probably was gross to the house in the 90s. They've been told they couldn't do that. They did some electrical wiring themselves. So at that point, we had to pull the meter. It wasn't safe to continue operation of it. But, I mean, what, the meters, the capabilities of these meters. And then again, I mentioned that power quality information. Just to give an overview, so this is obviously the state of Massachusetts here. We started in, like I said, our Worcester area and Brockton area. So we're moving from the central part of the state and kind of around the southeastern and south shore part of the state. And then we're moving up, as you can see in the track there, so the Merrimack Valley will be in the 2026 to 27 timeline. We are starting to build out that field area network in the areas around Kingsbury right now. So more to come there. Right now, we have over 271,000 electric meters installed. And as a comparison, our deployment started in New York, and I was just sent the information. So we have over 1 million meters installed in New York, and they have, comparison, they started a couple years before us. They are doing gas modules as well, so not replacing the meter, but putting a smart module inside, so it gives the insights on their gas usage. And we are at almost 2 million meters and modules in New York. So a lot of lessons learned as we started in New York, so we moved on to Massachusetts. Great insight for us. I do have a couple slides on our communication plan, but I can end with that. That's good. So the devices, this is how the network is built up. Like I mentioned, there's devices, there's meters. We're putting communication meters up on the poles, about 12 to 15 feet up on our existing poles. That's building out our own basically wireless network. Two-way communication. The meters are used as a communication point. These fan devices or field area network devices are used as communication points, and then it goes back to National Grid and our back-end systems. So the whole system together is AMI. The meters, people often refer to meters and AMI meter, and it is, but it's that whole system that's AMI. As far as customers, I often have to remind our users their role is to put meters in. Put meters in, put meters in. We're going to just go out and we're going to put meters in. And that's great, because they have 1.4 million meters in place. But I have to remind them, you're putting a meter on the side of the customer's home. That's different than what they have now. Gives them more opportunities. But we can't just show up there. We need to let customers know. There's a lot of education that has to go into this. We're trying to educate, advance notice that we're coming. And so we have this, we have customer community awareness. We're working with our communities before any meters or any infrastructure gets built up. Make sure they're aware. Give opportunity to ask questions, whatever it may be. We start to deploy the meters, and then after the fact, there's empowerment and enablement and more education for customers. Trying to teach them. This may be a meter, but there's so many opportunities and benefits for you as a customer. We do have a path of communication, so 90 days prior to any meter deployment in an area, we're doing some mass communications. Spotify ads, billboards, bus pass, whatever it may be, just getting it out. The word smart meter out there. 60 days prior, customers are getting a fresh letter or email, basically introducing the program at a really high level. 30 days prior, there's bill inserts, there's a welcome brochure, there's an email or a letter, and there's a link to a video. Tells them it's Smart Meters 101, for sure. It has every question you can have answered. And then about 10 business days before we're going to come, we give them a robocall, email, or text, letting them know we're coming. We have customers that can't do a power outage right at the time. We allow our medical customers to make appointments. If an installer comes to a door, and customers in the middle of a meeting or can't do it, it's okay. So it's going to be convenient for our customers. We don't want to just leave them in the dark, so to say, without some prior notice. And the outage itself is no more than 10 minutes. They remove one meter, let another one in, which doesn't seem simple to me. But they are inspecting the meter box, in which these meters are 20 to 25 years old, maybe longer. And so that meter box or meter has never been even looked at. So we're finding burnt sockets, we're finding theft, we're finding wiring that is incorrect, old wiring. So really safety first here, and it's a great opportunity for us to make sure that all of our equipment, and especially for customer safety, is up to speed. And then again, the customer energy management tools are out for customers. Again, they have insight into that 15-minute data. They, at the end of the month, can see their highest energy usage days, and they can set alarms that notify them when they are trending to be higher. They are 25% higher than they were last month. Once they have a meter for a year, they'll be able to compare this October to last October. Gives them insight, like I said, for 1 day visual or 1 week visual, 1 month visual, and then they can do month over month as we get into the quarter. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll have questions after this tonight.
You asked me probably about that.
I know. Thank you. Last but absolutely not least, again, we want to say thank you to Schneider Electric. We have Steve Diggins, he's the engineering manager for Schneider Electric. Welcome. And I'm thinking of all the changes that have happened since that day, and I'm thinking of what's coming, and I can't imagine what the future brings in terms of energy efficiency, but it makes it better for all of us. And as I mentioned, I know that in our chamber building, the improvements we made from revising and construction of national grid, we've become much better. The lighting is much better. The system is much better. The costs are much better. And we do these types of programs because we want all of our members to know that there's opportunity. And more importantly, this is something that we learned with our clean energy program, which went from Major a while back. We were the Northeast Economic Development Association's program of the year for all of New England because we were helping companies understand that there was opportunity and there was assistance from local companies. You don't need to go to Boston to try to find your way and spend 2 miles in traffic to get there. We have local people right in the Merrimack Valley, Chamber of Commerce, and everything. So, any questions before we adjourn? Yes, you first, and I know who you are, and then in the back. Yes, absolutely.
I'm Susan Almano from Greater Lawrence Technical School, and we're doing a lot with funding from MassCEC as well as the settlement advanced disclosures with gas on changing our curriculum and making it more focused in our trades on clean energy. And one question I have with smart meters, can you tell us anything about, is it changing your workforce? Are there any new skills, or how's that going? Because really interested to hear about how we can keep up to date with the workforce that's needed.
Absolutely. Great question. So yes, I mean, right now we have vans that drive by and read the meters, so there's that workforce. And a lot of people are concerned that, well, we have all these vans that are driving around, what's happening with those workers? So no loss of jobs, they'll all be retrained for different activities. So obviously we need more meter installers, we need more meter techs, we're looking for people to do all of these more technical work, so we have different levels of meter techs, so some, just do some installations, some new fixes, lines, so our overhead lines crews, our internal overhead lines crews are doing the installations of those meter network devices, so we're bringing a little bit of communication experience with our overhead lines. There is opportunity at the technical level. There's a lot of analytics that are now happening with this data. There's a lot of data available, and so to just say, I mean, my role in our pilot was the demand response coordinator. So I looked at and all those peak events during those peak times, analyzed what customers did on a signal. We gave them a signal curtail. We overrode the thermostat by 2 or 3 degrees. Did we get people that actually kept that? Did they override it? How much energy do we get? Do I get less dropouts if I override by 2 degrees instead of 3 when it's 98 degrees? Or do I get better results maybe 4 hours instead of 6 hours? There's a lot of analytical stuff that's going into that data. But yeah, National Grid is, at that level. We are working with third-party contractors to do installations. So Utility Partners of America is a leader in their field, and so they're doing a lot of installations across the state in conjunction with National Grid. So I mean, meter installers, meter techs, any of that is certainly going to be a growing field. This area is probably we're the last in the country to get smart meters. So across the country, we'll see that.
We should have started there first. Let me just say, I'm the former chairman of I saw the transition coming for clean energy and the creation of new jobs. Many people were concerned that that will be jobs that are lost. But it was convincing people that there's opportunity now in the clean energy field. Yes, you still have a question? Kevin O'Leary.
Can anybody speak to the large building energy reporting program in Massachusetts? Sort of going statewide. It seems to be modeled after the Boston Burdow program. I think there's a fair number of commercial property owners in this room. They probably want to know how it's going to impact the value of the property as it's going to impact the Boston properties. Can anybody elaborate on that a bit? Thank you.
Who wants to take that question?
Yeah, are you familiar with Boston's Burdow program? Okay. I just know that there's a fair, as Joe knows, there's a fair number of large commercial buildings in the area, so it's, as of July 1st, it's starting to impact that.
We'll get some information on that. One last question. Anyone? If not, please give, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, the Schneider National Grid and Revise. I want to say a special thank you to our keynote speaker, Emily, came a long way early in the morning. And we want to say thank you because it's easy for you to say, meet us in Boston. But for you to come out and really be special for us, we really appreciate it. And to our speakers from Revise and Schneider and National Grid, give them a round of applause. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Have a great day. This is Clark Teaching.